shocked the world. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for appearing with us at our studios. And before we start, could you shake hands and come out talking here? Both of you shocked the world in Tokyo. Buster, you in the ring, and Mike, you outside of the ring after the fight. Let's get to the controversy first and get through that. The impression left with all the business about the long count is that you and Don King tried to use your influence to either turn the decision around or to void it. And that after there was this huge public outcry, you decided to take a U-turn, a flip-flop, and say, we didn't quite mean that. What we meant was we wanted a rematch. Give us your spin on what that was all about.
Well, Larry, if you could recollect, no one was protesting, especially not myself. I was just pointing at the fact of what had happened. The referee, I gave my comment of what had happened. I mean, by no means, Buster fought a great fight. You don't want to take that away from him. You know what I mean? It would be cheap. You couldn't consider yourself champion if somebody defaults like that. But, you know what I mean? He deserves being champion of the world, and I commend him on effort. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? I, by no means, made a protest of changing the decision.
You did say afterwards, I consider myself still the champion. I don't think what happened was fair.
No, I said it wasn't fair what happened. But then again, how many things in boxing is not fair? You know what I mean? I had 37 good nights. But then again, I consider when I say I'm champion because I still consider myself the best fighter in the world.
Take us through the process. You go back to your dressing room after the fight. How did you first hear about this supposed long count? How was it presented to you? What was your reaction?
Before, like, the fight, like, when the fight was, when I went in the dressing room, I commented, that count was a little long, I said.
You did?
Yeah, I said, I thought that count was a little long, not making a big deal of it, but then people that came and protested the situation, like the Japanese officials had came in, and the WBC and the WBA, and they made a big issue of the situation. But by all means, nobody's crying over spilled milk, you know what I mean? Buster, you know what I mean, if he believes he's the champion of the world, we'll do it again.
Buster, you take us through the process you went. When did you first hear that there was a protest being lodged, and what were your thoughts at that moment?
Once I got back to the hotel, I really didn't understand, you know, what the situation was totally about, because as far as I knew, I was up before the count of 10. They were saying it was a long count, and to my knowledge, it was at 6. Well, I picked it up at 6.
Did your manager, John Johnson, tell you about this?
Yeah, it was
What
John.
did he say to you? What did you say to him?
He said that Tyson and King were protesting the count in the 8th round.
Was there confusion at that moment? Was there fear that the fight could be voided? Or did that happen later?
No, it was, well, yeah, it was confusion. I didn't know exactly what the deal was, because all I was concerned with was getting my belts.
When you heard that the WBA and the WBC were withholding judgment on the entire fight, were you afraid that there was some political thing going on here that would cost you your victory?
Well, basically, I thought that, you know, it was bogus. I really didn't put any stock in it, and I figured that if it came down to me being stripped of the titles, then the public would know who the real heavyweight champion was. They would recognize me because they seen the results of the fight.
When you finally did get home to Columbus, and there was still a furor and it was still unknown what was going to happen, were your fears raised at that time?
No, it was a disappointment due to the fact that I didn't receive the championship belts. I mean, I was declared the winner in the ring, but yet, you know, I only received 1 belt. And then once I received the belt and got back to the hotel, they said that it was being protested and that the WBC and the WBA wasn't sanctioning the fight.
Did it ruin the party for you? Did it ruin the best time of your life in some way?
In one respect, it did. In another, the victory itself was I still felt that I won the fight, but it was just that it wasn't completed. Being completed was receiving the belts.